Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is the Inspiration Show. Today on the show we actually have a really good friend of mine. He's not only a good friend but he's a very good mentor, and I've done a lot of work with him over this past year that I want to share a little bit more about with you, but please help me welcome my special guest, Mr. Scott Coady. How are you, Scott?
Doing well, Natalie, thank you. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic today, and all the better for talking to you. Today we're going to talk about embodied learning and leadership, and what it means to embody that type of information. And like I said, I've been working with you this year and I've learnt so much, and I've actually changed so much. It's really helped to permeate out into the work that I do in the world. So I'm really grateful for that. But what I might do is actually get you to start by telling everyone your background and your story and how you got to teaching this kind of information.
Well, it's a little bit of a long journey, but I've been teaching embodied learning, embodied leadership now for about 15 years. But I've been on a journey of my own self-development, my own growth for 30 years, since getting out of graduate school at age 27. And you know, I knew I was going to do something in the realm of business. I wasn't really sure. I came from an entrepreneurial family. My father had his own company, and I met Fernando Flores, who is a renowned philosopher and teacher, and he was just this amazing, amazing guy who blew my mind and had me rethink, you know, what it meant to be a human being and what it meant to be somebody committed to producing value in the world. And studied with him for several years. Got a coaching certification back in 1992 when it was kind of a new thing, and started working inside companies, helping them change their cultures, create high-performance teaming. And that was all interesting and fascinating and good. But I noticed along the way that teaching people and making the learning stick, making the learning valuable in the moments when it was needed, was the real trick. You know, we all go to a weekend seminar, we learn stuff, but then maybe something doesn't change, or in the critical moment we don't perform well. And then I met Richard Strozzi Heckler in 1995. Richard's a 5th degree Aikido master, PhD psychologist, and began learning a lot about the whole science and technology of embodiment and how one would approach that and produce a different shift in the self that they are. So I started using myself as an experiment and practicing on myself. And after several years, I was ready to start making some offers. So I made my, say, big debut at NASA. Working alongside a colleague, we designed a 9-month-long embodied leadership program for the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And we ran that program there for 7 years. A lot of awards. It produced huge shifts and changes inside of some really, really smart people. And these are people who had multiple PhDs and knew a lot about a lot of things. But they had somehow along the way overemphasized their brains, and they left their bodies sort of, well, to the wayside, if you will. They weren't paying attention to that dimension, and it was compromising their leadership and their capacity to do really amazing things. They knew how in their brain, if you will, but they were having trouble building teams, having people follow them, and being successful. Fortunately, we had the great privilege of working with them for 9 months, and it produced a lot of changes. So that gave me a lot of confidence to continue with that work and bringing it inside of corporations, leadership teams. Then I launched the Art of Leadership Mastery program 10 years ago here in Ojai as a public program to carry on that same work, which you just completed last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that we're talking about embodied leadership, But it's not just about leadership as in leading a team. Like, it could be leadership of oneself, right? Like, what is your definition of of leadership?
Well, you're absolutely right. We always say before you can lead anyone, first you have to lead yourself.
Right.
And the way we say that is that, well, I'll give you my definition of leadership first, and I'll say why I say that. To me, leaders are people who are interested, passionate about the future. And managers are, let's say, concerned about the present and optimizing the play on the field as it's happening, where leaders are looking off into the distance, any number of months or years. And there's no facts about the future. So there are people that are interested in the unknown. Now, I have an MBA, I went to business school, and we were taught, you put a business plan together, and that's how you navigate and manage the future, by having a really great plan and then following your plan. Well, as you know, the world is changing at an ever-increasing rate these days, and you could make your business plan today, and it'll be irrelevant in a week or two. Mm-hmm. So we need to move into the future knowing that it's a journey into the unknown. We need to go in this direction with this knowledge that it's unknown. At the same time, we have to build trust and confidence in ourselves and with other people that it's going to work out. And this is the dilemma or the paradox of it. If I was leading something, asking you to be part of it, you know that we're going into the unknown, and I don't have all the answers, and that there are probably going to be some challenges along the way. And one of your big concerns will be, am I going to be able to handle it when it happens? In other words, your core self is assessing my core being, not my business plan, not if I'm a nice guy, not my track record in the past, but am I the kind of person that's going to take care of you and the others and the achieve the objective and handle the challenges in the way? So you're assessing kind of who I am at all levels of my being, and that is what we call our somatic self. And a lot of people aren't aware or in touch of the somatic self or how they're showing up for other people at that level, but it happens. And the last thing I'll say about this is all of this is a dynamic that takes place because us human beings are social hierarchical animals, and we have all of this nonverbal social behavior that comes from our deep history before we had verbal language. And if you look at dogs, horses, elephants, social hierarchical animals, they have this behavior in spades all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from working with you, one of the biggest lessons, or there was so many lessons that I learned, but you're right, like being able to be in a body that I trust myself. We live in an age of instant gratification, but to be able to step into a bigger version of ourselves, or step into a bigger message, and do that, being able to hold the body and the energy to be able to do that in a way that people want to follow you. I think that is really what's shown up a lot in, and most of our community know I do a lot of videos and been, speaking on stage and so forth, but I feel that this is what's being able to show up for me. And for me to be able to trust myself to go into the unknown and take on projects that maybe would scare the bejesus out of me before, but being able to do that in a way that I feel confident. And if you're watching the show as well, if you're someone, and I know there's a lot of people in our community, they have a message they want to get out into the world, and there's maybe a book inside them, or there's something that they want to do, that they do need to enlist the trust of other people to come along with them, to follow them, and to trust the message that they have. Doing this type of work is fantastic for that. You don't necessarily need to be leading a team, but you are leading yourself in a place of trust to move forward, so that other people can trust you too, which is like huge. It was a huge thing for me. And so, tell me some of the people that you've worked with. I mean, can anyone do this kind of work?
Yeah, this is the beautiful thing about it, and why I dedicated my life to it, is that this type of work, embodied learning, is really about practices. We take on physical practices, doing certain things with our whole self, We do them recurrently or repeatedly over a period of time, like a martial artist practicing a new move. And that then becomes a permanent part of who we are. We are rewiring the person. And, you know, there's a mind-body connection. So what happens in the body affects the mind. When you see that your body will automatically behave a different way in critical situations than it used to, then that's where that self-confidence will go up, because you now can see that you built a body that you can trust to deliver or take care of itself or perform and come through in those critical moments. You're talking about some of your audience getting their message out. Well, the message is important, and you know, a lot of people have a great message. As you're delivering the message, the people receiving it are assessing who is the messenger. Yes. And what's that package like? Is that message coming out in a way that's compelling? Do I find myself wanting to move closer toward that person, or do I want to back away a little bit? So these are some of the dynamics, and what's great about it is that it works. When you train the body, it produces the authentic shift in the self, whether your mind understands it or not, likes it, has an opinion. And this was the great insight at NASA. We got all these super smart people having all kinds of opinions about whether or not what we're going to do is going to work. And all we did is get them to keep doing it long enough for it to produce that shift inside of their physical self, and then their mind believed it later. Right. And some of our graduates went on to become NASA's chief scientists, and you know, rose up high in the organization there. And I've worked with CEOs from Fortune 500 companies and many other people. So it's different. It's not taught in graduate school. It can be fun, but it also can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, as all good things should be. You know, and what was really good about the group that I was working with you with, there was quite a lot of younger people in that group as well, and not necessarily with a big message to get out in the world, but maybe like, you know, maybe there was a small following that they wanted to influence in their local community, and even those type of people can benefit from this kind of work. Now I know that you have like a 2-day event coming up in LA. Can you tell us a little bit what's going to happen in that 2-day event?
Yeah, sure. You know, and I just want to say, anybody can benefit from this. You know, just to have a less stress in your life, or you want to attract a new partner. You know, it's really for anybody that has any concern, because when we shift who we are at the core, everything else changes around us. And as you said earlier, we want to build a body that is consistent with the vision we have for the future.
Yeah, and it affects our relationships and everything. Like, it's affected all of my relationships, especially my work relationships.
Yeah, we do a lot of this for leadership, for people who have companies, starting companies, for public personalities, speakers. But some of the sweetest work we do is when people want to attract that partner, or they want to start a family, and they're able to realize those dreams because they've become the kind of person that can hold that. That's a lot of energy, like we talked about, you know. Yeah. And be able to hold that energy and be with it responsibly. LA, we have a 2-day event, Power, Presence, and Authenticity, January 16th and 17th. And it'll be our first public 2-day workshop, so it's a fun and unique opportunity to work with other people, and some of our graduates of our programs will be there assisting, so it's going to be very intense and good.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Jen, where are we in LA? Tell us some details.
Oh, it'll be in Hollywood at a place called The Studio, which is on Santa Monica Boulevard between Highland and well, about 2 blocks from Highland on Santa Monica. Really lovely space that's designed for movement practices. So it's got wood floors and beautiful natural light, and we have room for 72 people to be with us. And if some of your folks would like to come, I think we might have a special incentive for them.
We do. We actually do have a special incentive. So if you're watching this the show online, you'll see the banner to the side, and if you're watching it on the app, you'll see the banner underneath here. You'll be able to see a discount code that's on the banner. So if you click on the banner, it'll go through to Scott's website where you can register for the event. And Scott has very generously given us a $200 discount for any of our community that really wants to join him for that 2-day event, which I highly, highly recommend. So, Scott, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. You have been such a major influence in my life, and I love you and I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful you got to spend some time with me today.
Natalie, thank you for having me, and it's a joy to be with you in any context. I also want to acknowledge and thank you for your leadership at our Association of Transformational Leaders, where you've been a great member and now a fantastic leader. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now, guys, I encourage you to share this video. You can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. And make sure that you leave your email if you haven't done so already, so we can send you the Manifesting with a Masters video e-course. And click on the banner to go straight through to Scott's website. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.